Joining me now to discuss this and a whole lot more, Donald Trump Jr. Great to see you, my friend. Merry Christmas. Hunter Biden
Likewise.
defying a lawful subpoena and instead holding a press conference. Watch this.
They have tried to dehumanize me, all to embarrass and damage my father, who has devoted his entire public life to service. For 6 years, I have been the target of the unrelenting Trump attack machine, shouting, "Where's Hunter?" Well, here's my answer. I am here. Let me state as clearly as I can. My father was not financially involved in my business.
Okay, not only did Democrats put conservatives who defied subpoenas in chains, they treated you far differently, Don, than the GOP is treating Hunter, didn't they?
Oh, 100%. And imagine the outrage if I just defied a congressional subpoena. I did 40 hours, not including January 6th. I did another 10 hours for that. But so total of 50 hours before congressional committees. They're trying to play this game, Chris. Well, no, Hunter will do it in public testimony where you're asked by the congressman and it's 5 minutes back and forth. You can't get into any of the details. I'd have hours on end with one side asking me questions and follow up, not this show trial. That's why they say, oh, no, we'll do it publicly. That's a sham. That actually has nothing to do with transparency. It's because they can control the narrative. Hunter should get the same treatment that I got. I went in there and I did it like a man. I answered all of the questions. I went before House Judiciary, House Intelligence, Senate Intelligence twice. And again, that's before the sham January 6th committee. I did it all because I had nothing to hide. He's got everything to hide. There's no reason why he's making this kind of money. He didn't perform any services for this. There's no reason to be writing the checks to Joe Biden, his father, from the uncle and from the kids. Why are the children and grandchildren getting receipts from companies benefiting by the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party? I mean, they're not international business people, and neither was Hunter. It's all one big lie. And I'd love for a change to see some of the media outrage towards Hunter if I didn't show up. The same, if I said I'm not going to show up, I'm going to defy them, it would be the end of the world. It would be the start of in another impeachment inquiry into my father, and rightfully so. This is all one big lie. It's covered up. And of course, Hunter is the victim. He sits there. He talks about, I heard him talking about decency. Decency, the guy that spent, what was it? $875,000 approximately on hookers and drugs, but wouldn't pay child support. Decency, the guy that took out $1.6 million in cash withdrawals in a 4-year period of time from ATM machines. Decency, I'm sure that was going for good causes, but he couldn't, again, pay a couple grand a month for child support. I'd love to see Hunter treated like a man, like anyone else in America, for a change and for the first time in his entire life. But that's not going to happen because he'll be protected by the media, by big tech, and by the Democrats in Washington, D.C.
True. And also by the Republicans, because the Republicans would have control over this, and they are showing no signs that they want to do a damn thing. Meantime, the House finally voting to authorize...
That's a good point, Chris. I'd love to see the Republicans, for once, just once, actually fight like every single Democrat did during Russia. They knew it was a lie. We saw Adam Schiff. I mean, they're still pretending Russia was real. Remember, he's seen the evidence. He lied before the American people. He did that each and every day. The media added it up. I was a party to, at least a few dozen of the walls are closing in. They've got him. They all turned out to be lies. They altered my emails. No consequence. I'd love for once, the Republicans to fight the same way and to play the same game that the Democrats do each and every time for every issue that is up before them.
Well, I know your father fights like that, and I think, your father fights like that, and I think that's why he rubs, so many of these Republicans like Mitt Romney and John Cornyn and Mitch McConnell the wrong way. They just rather not fight. The House finally voting to authorize an official impeachment inquiry into Joe Biden. Many are asking, hey, why did it take all year? Isn't that a fair question?
Certainly. When you look at the evidence, when you look at what they impeached my father twice for, it's like this is like 1,000,000 to 1. And yet it doesn't matter. The problem we really face in the House, again, I'd love to see it happen. I'd love this now allows them to get more access to more things the White House can't stonewall as well as they have, but they will anyway, right? They'll drag everything to the last minute. They'll won't be complete. They're trying to run out the clock is what they're trying to do. The problem with a now, 3-person majority in the House, someone's going to fold. They're probably not going to be able to do that in the House. What they need to do is they got to get all the information. They got to utilize everything, every means possible to get all the information and show it to the American public. Show actual transparency. Get Hunter in there. Follow through with a criminal warrant if he doesn't show up. And not just roll over and die. That's exactly what they would have done to me. But again, there's a difference between me and Hunter. I'll show up and I'll be a man. I'll actually go in there and I'll ask those questions. And again, it's not of the weak Republicans. This was of, the Adam Schiffs and the liars, the biggest scoundrels to ever occupy Washington, D.C. I did that. He's not willing to do that because he's got a lot to hide. There's a reason he's not willing to do it. There's a reason he won't play by the same rules that I did and my family did. It's because he's got a lot to hide. The difference is there's very few people actually calling for him to do anything because they're too weak and feckless.
Well, there you go. Well, let me talk about your father and how the polls are shaping up. 7 battleground states. What do you make of my analysis? Americans aren't interested in the surrender caucus anymore, headed up by folks like McConnell or Cornyn or Cheney or Kinzinger. They don't want Americans. Americans want a vibrant Republican Party that's ready to defend us from the extremes of the Democrat Party. And I think maybe that's what's behind the expanding lead your father is building over Joe Biden. What do you think?
I think Americans want common sense. I think they just want common sense back. You see what's going on this week at Harvard, and you see the mayor of Boston having segregated Christmas parties, and you see inflation, and you see what's happening to people's mortgage rates, and you realize, what? Despite the hatred in the media, despite all the lies pushed by big tech, you realize, hey, man, we had it really good under Trump. That was a thriving and vibrant economy. We see the wars that are starting, not just, Ukraine, but what's going on now in Israel. And they're starting potentially, flying flights over Venezuela, just what we need, another 3-front wars. They see what's going on. They see what weakness in leadership and incompetence that is exuded by our president now, as well as the stupidity of the Democrat Party and the hills they choose to die on. They want a return to normalcy. They want sanity. They want people who will actually put their country first, perhaps our own border, before we spend 100 times what we needed to finish our border wall on Ukraine's. They see that. It's so ridiculous. The pendulum has overcorrected so badly that even with the help of big tech, which is not insignificant, these are trillion-dollar institutions, the mainstream media, and sort of the Democrat pop culture apparatus, everyone gets it. You can no longer pull the wool over their eyes. They want common sense back, but they realize that today's Democrat Party, it's not even a Democrat Party, it's the Communist Party. They realize they'll never get that because they see what they say each and every day, and they realize that kind of insanity is never going to bring them to the promised land, folks. That's not going to get them where they need to be economically or otherwise across the spectrum. It just can't happen. You can't be ruled by morons. It doesn't work.
Don Jr., Merry Christmas to you and the family, sir. I always appreciate the visit. Come back soon.